Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with the Road to Glory podcast. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Cecilia. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the F2 grid for next year. Obviously, we've already had some announcements, and of course, F2 teams were like, once we have decided to make a predictions video, they're like, oh, hold on, we'll just announce everyone now. So we've had a lot of announcements recently.
They literally gave us so many announcements in a week or so after we decided we were going to do this. They read our minds, I swear. But it was so funny that we decided to do this, and then they were like, oh, well, we'll give you some stuff.
Yes, exactly. So now we are here to run through basically who have already been announced, and then the main focus will be on who we think will take the remaining seats for next year.
Exactly, because we're not experts, but we have some predictions to put out there, and it'll be very interesting to see if any of our predictions end up being right, because I honestly love doing these predictions and then looking back and being like, wow, we were so incorrect, or low-key we were onto something.
Exactly, because this would definitely be a mixture of our own personal feelings, if we have an inkling something will happen, but also general rumors, because there are definitely a lot of rumors swirling around about certain drivers. Some where I'm more convinced this is definitely happening, and others where it's more questionable whether or not it will happen.
Exactly.
I guess we can jump into who has been announced so far, and I feel we have to start with the big one, and that is obviously that Hightech has announced that COLTON HERTA will be joining them next year.
And there were, a lot of rumors around where he was going to go.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that he has settled at Hightech now.
Yes, definitely. A team he can perform well at, hopefully, because obviously he's there to get super license points to get to F1. So we have to wait and see if that is possible. Moving on to other announcements, we have a full campus driver lineup announced already with Nicolas Solom and Noel Leon driving for them next year.
Yeah, which is quite big, even in the F1 world, because it means Arvid will definitely not be doing another season, because I would not see him switching to any other team.
No.
He's a Red Bull Junior. He's going to be at Campos. Campos have their seats filled. It means he will most likely be driving in Red Bull or RB next year.
Yes, it's definitely something, even when this episode is uploaded and you're watching this, he could even be announced as a V-Cup driver or something by now.
Yeah, I feel even today, day of recording, we could get some announcement.
Yeah, that's my thinking too, because obviously he did, as of recording right now, he did FP1 yesterday, and the way they put him on low fuel, soft tires, he was the fastest rookie, that was very much the same thing Mercedes did with Kimi. Well, that failed, because he ended in the war. Yeah. So at least Red Bull are having more to build on now, so they could honestly make the announcement at any point, I feel like.
Exactly, and they made a whole big post that he was fastest out of the rookies.
Exactly.
They are really building him up, and I would not be surprised if we got an announcement today that he was signed for next year.
No, definitely he is not staying in F2 Arbit. So instead it will be Nicolas Solom and Noel Leon in the campus car, which is also equally exciting. And then moving on to Invicta, we had an announcement, which wasn't the announcement that we thought we would get first. We obviously we'll get to what the rumor is, but the person who was announced was Joshua Dirksen, finally free of the AIX car.
Yay! We cheered! We love you, AIX, but we cheered.
Yeah, we honestly did. I'm so sorry, AIX, but it will be interesting to see how they perform losing Joshua, because Joshua has definitely been a big team leader for them, the only person that has been able to get anything out of that car.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their lineup, because their lineup is completely confirmed as well already. AIX, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So AIX have Emerson Fittipaldi, who, skipped F3, comes to F2, and Kian Shields again. So they are sticking with Kian for the coming season.
It will be very interesting to see. Obviously, Fittipaldi Jr. has the backing of his name, so will be interesting to see how he can do just passing F3. I feel F3 has just become optional at this point, because moving to another announcement for Van Amersfoort Racing, we also have a driver skipping F3, which is more surprising because that is Nicolas Daron. I have no idea how to say his name. I don't speak Spanish. Does anyone know how to say his last name?
Please let us know.
Yes, but yeah, he is making a big jump from sports cars, obviously, and I feel like this just came out of nowhere because that I haven't seen this rumor like at all. Maybe some Argentinian news media have said something about it, but then again, I don't see the Spanish rumors, Spanish-speaking rumors, obviously. So I was surprised by it.
Yeah, completely left field. I saw it, and
Yeah.
I'm not really in the sports cars world like too deeply. So I was like, who is this man? If
Yeah.
anyone's like a huge Nicholas fan and you want to let us know, please like drop some information about him in the comments. Let us know why we should be supporting him. But it was so left field because like
It
in
was.
the Beta Series world, a lot of the time there's rumors before, and they don't keep everything under lock and key. There are rumors that leak out. So like
Yeah.
this one just came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yes, I've seen some sports cars fans, like WEC fans, IMSA fans, the series that he has driven in this season and previous seasons, being kind of upset about it because he's like a Corvette factory driver, I believe. So like he's a like established driver in endurance racing. Choosing to leave that behind for getting an F2 seat is like an interesting choice by some fans, at least. Their
Yeah,
opinion on it.
a lot of people are kind of mad about that, and it's a trend that Colton seems to have started now.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, Colton is so established in the IndyCar world, and has now moved over to F2. So this could be a trend that we start seeing where these drivers are like, whoa, my F1 dream is not over. Let me leave
Exactly.
all of this that I have behind and go to F2, which I don't necessarily agree with. But we will have to see how it pans out for both Nicholas and Colton.
Yeah, because it also is important to note, obviously, for Nicholas or Nico. I see a lot of people just calling him Nico, so let's do that.
Yeah.
A lot of the people like forget that his dream was obviously F1, as most drivers is. He does have a background in single seaters, but because of funding issues, he couldn't like continue on that path. So obviously, he sees it as an opportunity to get back on his initial path, which is like an interesting way he got there as well, because I
Yeah.
read somewhere that he got a postseason test like only one day last year for AIX, and now suddenly he pops up with a full-time seat at VAR, so will be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it's very nice to see him chasing his dream, and he will be somebody to watch because who knows? He could be incredible. We don't know.
No, it remains to be seen. But other drivers where we have seen in single seaters more recently, obviously we had Dams announcing Dino Beganovic will make the switch from high tech to Dams.
Yeah, this was a rumor that was swirling around, so to
Yeah.
me, not so shocking, but exciting to see Dino in Dabs. Was he with them last year at the end of the year to do the couple last races? Because I feel like he's been connected with Dams before.
I think so too. Like, I'm not completely sure, but when I saw the announcement, I feel like this feels familiar. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like Dino has been there before.
exactly. Like that's what my mind is remembering. I could be totally wrong. So it's nice to see him there at Dams.
Definitely. And then the last confirmed driver we have so far is that Rodan has announced Martinez Stenshorn as the driver for next year.
When I was prepping for today, and I
Yeah.
completely forgot Roden actually when I was writing it down.
Yeah.
So sorry, Roden. And then I also forgot that they'd signed Martinez. I was like, when did
Yeah.
this happen? And it was actually a while ago. So maybe my brain just didn't compute that they'd actually signed Martinez. But will be very interesting to see, obviously, making the jump full time for the season next year and to Roden.
Yes, because obviously they made the announcement pretty much straight after Baku, so it has already been a month or so. But it was like odd timing. It was very much like they saw how well he performed at Trident in his first ever race weekend in F2, and they were like, yeah, we're signing you, we're making it official now.
this kind of gives the same vibes as Christian Mansell because he obviously
Yes,
did the couple races with Trident and
that
then
is so
signed
true.
fully with Roden for the
Roden,
next
yeah,
year. So Roden like, I like to take these drivers that Trident decide to put
yeah.
in.
Apparently so. Like, this is a trend now that has continued for 2 years. I'm still so sad about the fact that Christian Mansell obviously didn't get to drive for Rodin, but maybe that is something we'll get onto with our predictions.
Yeah,
Now
I
that we
think we,
will move into. Yeah.
yes.
We have some predictions both for F3 drivers moving up to F2 and also some F2 drivers staying in the series. Obviously, there could also be drivers from other series apparently
Yeah.
that could jump up. I haven't looked too much at them, so like my predictions are like mainly for F3 drivers and current F2 drivers.
Yeah, agreed. I also have a couple of blanks that I'm excited
Yes,
to discuss with you and see what we are feeling because honestly,
yes.
the feeder series world is so chaotic it could be like anyone, as you just mentioned.
Yeah. So for those of you watching this episode, we are not gonna like make a full like these drivers are gonna drive for these teams like a full grid. Essentially, we're just gonna talk about like who we like feel might get a seat and at what team, obviously, but not like fill out the whole grid.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I feel like we have to talk about to be on brand with the podcast. We have to talk about Prema first because this is like my main concern. Like this is it is very stressful looking at the Prema prospects because for so long I was so sure that Sebastian Montoya would leave the team and go to another team just because of kind of lack of performance for Prema and maybe he would try something else. Now we have the issue that I thought he might switch to Campos, which is now obviously not possible. I also thought maybe High Tech. The rumors are saying otherwise. Rumors are saying that Sebastian is staying at Prema, which is fine. Like, I love Sebastian. I want to see him at Prema. But my main issue here is that I was so sure the whole season that we would get a Gabriel Mini second season at Prema, but now that is in question. Because, like, will they keep the same driver lineup? And people saying, oh, Mini is leaving, and then there are rumors Mini is going to Formula E. Well, Formula E is filled now. There are not
Yeah.
any seats. So where is my boy Mini going?
Because I was so sure, and I still am low-key sure that he's gonna stay at Prema. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, in my mind, maybe it's because Minnie's Italian as well, but he just feels so Prema, and I was so sure
Yes.
that, Sebastian was gonna leave. I could honestly still low-key see him at High Tech with Colton, because yes,
Yeah.
Sebastian is Colombian, but he's also, like, he's Colombian/American. He has both flags on his
Yeah.
race suit and stuff. So I could see a full American lineup with Colton
Yes.
and Sebastian and High Tech. But the rumors are saying otherwise, and I don't know what to believe. It's really, really hard
No.
because also, like, what rumors do you trust? Because there's a lot of people who just
Exactly.
shout stuff out there just for no reason.
Yeah, so it's like, where is this information coming from?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like way off. We're talking like, especially with High Tech, there's something weird going around with rumors about them. Because literally the day before the Colton was announced, there was like some person that gained like a lot of attention and like a lot of likes, retweets, whatever, people responding to it that said it would be Ritomo Miata and Sebastian Montoya driving for High Tech next year, which obviously isn't true now because Colton has been announced. So you can't really know who to trust essentially with these rumors.
Exactly. You just got to take them with a pinch of salt, but they do sometimes give you an idea. So you got to find
Yeah.
which rumor sounds the most likely and back it up.
Yes. Exactly. So talking about Prema, who I predict, I honestly still hope we'll keep Mini at Prema. Also, no offense to Sebastian Montoya, he's obviously also a great driver. But in my mind, even though Mini has been having more of a rough season than Sebastian, I still feel like Mini has the bigger potential of the two. So I would be surprised if Prema get rid of him, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. In my mind, he's there for another season. I don't see him swapping. I could not see him at another team.
No.
Especially because the other Italian team is not great. Trident in F2.
No.
I
That would be a
can't
horror
see him
show.
not. I can't see him not at an Italian team as well. So I'm just so sure he's going to stay with Prema. We will have to see, but in my heart, he's always with Prema.
Yes, because I would be surprised to see him, like, if he doesn't stay with Prema, I don't see him being in F2 at all, because I don't see where he would be. And then only doing one season in F2 and not having another seat ready, like, then he can become a reserve driver in Formula E. But, like, are we being serious right now? Like, I don't understand what is going on there. It also could be funding. I have no idea about what Alpine and his own funding, what is up with that, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I don't see him being like reserved for Alpine. Alpine are already chock-a-block.
No,
They're full over there. Especially with like
exactly.
the rumors of Alex Dunn talking to them as well. Like I don't see them having any place. Definitely not
Mm,
for their drivers, for many, and not for
no.
Alex Alpine, because Flavio Briatore has said that the only two drivers in contention for the seat is Paul
Mm.
Aaron, which would be crazy to see him step up for his rookie season,
Yes.
and Franco Colapinto. So there's no place for Mini to. I mean, it could be
No.
reserved, but they have Jack there. Like they are busy. So
Yes,
I'm just like,
Alpine is just a mess,
Albion's a complete
honestly.
mess. So I'm worried for Mini if we get announcements and he's not staying at Prema, then I'm scared of where he will go.
Same, because like my final prediction for Mini is definitely either he stays with Prema or he's not there at all. That is my
Mm,
prediction for that. And then
yeah,
talking about the other seat, obviously Sebastian is also rumored to stay. The other rumor that I have seen is that Mary Boyer could step up from F3, obviously because he finished third and was like fighting for the title. He deserves to go up to F2. But like the only team I've seen him rumored at is Prema, which is worrying me because I want to see Mary going up to F2, but like they're not enough seats, okay? I can't
they are
deal with
really
this.
not. And I also like I have him written down to come up, but I just don't know where to
Yeah.
place Mary
No,
because like
exactly.
he was so connected with Campos.
Mm,
But I mean, he's an Aston Martin junior now, but like Aston Martin don't have anywhere where they place their juniors. So like it
no.
I don't know. I don't know if he fits with Prema. He doesn't fit with Prema in my mind.
No, he doesn't either. That was why I was so surprised when I saw the rumor that he could be going there, because like he's so not a Premier driver in my mind.
But you know what? It could happen because I definitely hope he gets a seat in F2 next
Yes.
year.
Definitely deserves it. It would be very weird if he like fought for the title in F3 this year and then doesn't get an F2 seat because he obviously can't stay in F3. Like that
No.
is done. So
Yeah.
if he wants to continue moving forwards, it has to be F2 unless he would go onto a completely different path, which I just don't see happening. So
No.
definitely concerning, I would say, with who ends up with those two Premier seats.
Exactly. I know technically not a feeder series driver anymore, but I
Mm.
feel like I have to mention that we will 100% not be seeing Pepe Marti back on the grid next year
Yes.
because he has signed with Cooper Kiro for Formula E for their 2025/2026 season because their first race is coming up at the end of the year. And I'm pretty sure he will not be doing Abu Dhabi or Qatar because he's
No.
parted ways with the Red Bull Junior Academy Ready and he's doing testing for Kiro in the testing coming up. So like I know with Zane Maloney when he moved up last year and this year because the Formula E
Mm.
seasons are weird. He still did Qatar, but then he didn't do Abu Dhabi. I just don't think that will happen. Which is sad that we didn't get to like say goodbye to Pepe.
Mm.
But
Yes.
Pepe has mentioned that he was only ever going to do 2 seasons, and that was
Mm.
it. Like he had his 2 shots. He did not get close to F1. And I'm really glad that he didn't like try and cling on and try find funding for another season or anything. He decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to Formula E because as we've seen with Taylor Barnard there's so much potential. So sorry for my little
Mm.
yap about Pepe, but I'm just so happy that he's found a seat.
Yes. Super exciting for Pepe. And I also like, I really respect the drivers who like decide to only stay in F2 for seasons, basically. Because like then you really have had your shot and you can stay for a third year, but then there will always come into the question, like, is it worth the money that you're putting into it? Because all the drivers that like win the title in the third season, like it's not looked upon the same way as if you do it in your first or second. So like it just you keep paying so much money to drive an F2, and then it's just like taking away from you like the glory kind of winning the title anyway. So definitely, I think it's the right move for Pepe. He obviously wasn't the first driver in line to the Red Bull family anyway, unfortunately, even though that could discussed why Arvid takes priority, but that's just the way it is. So definitely will be good to see him joining the FE grid instead.
Exactly. I'm very, very excited for him and very happy that he has found a home and somewhere where he doesn't have to pay
Yes,
a lot of money to drive for. And also because Formula
exactly.
E have their first Spanish race coming up, and he's like an ambassador for Kiro, so it just seems like a really nice fit for him. But yeah, back
It does.
back to F2.
Yes, back to the F2 predictions and talking about drivers moving up or like staying for another year in F2. I have like an interesting point because I want to talk about Alex Dunn, because when we have talked about him here on the podcast, I feel like we have been split on like what he would do. I feel like you were a lot on the side that he like has performed so well, no reason to stay in F2 another year. And I've been like he could also stay and then be a Red Bull Junior. The rumor right now I'm seeing is that he's probably gonna stay in F2 for another season with Rodin. So that is also my prediction for him, because I just can't see him move up right now, especially because he doesn't have super license points enough as of right now to get an F1 seat, unless he finishes in the top 3 of the championship this year, which still very much could happen. He's currently P5, not that many points behind. But then again, like, you never know what's going to happen, how lucky or unlucky he's going to be. So definitely a safe bet would probably be that he's staying in F2 for a second season.
Yeah, Alex is such a hard one because
Mm,
he was leading the championship for a while and was really up
yeah,
there. And like my last prediction that I put out was him winning the championship. But he has
yeah,
had a couple of races which haven't gone exactly to plan or to what he
no,
wanted to happen. So it's such a tough one. Um, and in the same conversation with Alex is Luke as well, in my mind, because I'm like,
yeah,
is Luke gonna do another season as well or not? Like, I would love him to, but again, I'm like, would he just go into that reserve driver role for Williams? But then also, like, I don't know how many super license points he has as well. He is doing FP1 sessions, which is great, as is Alex. But they are both two drivers who are in this championship fight and in this contention. But then, like, if they don't win, then they'll definitely stay, I think, unless
yeah,
Williams have a plan for Luke. But with Alex now not being connected to McLaren and actually connected to no one at the moment, which will
yeah,
definitely be swooped up by someone, it
yeah.
is like, what is he gonna do? It's so hard.
It really is. And also, like, an interesting point that I actually heard the F1 TV commentators making yesterday, which I've never thought about before, but like it does make sense, is that if only the F2 season ended earlier, which like sounds insane because we all want
Yeah.
a lot of races and like we want to watch F2, but like thinking about it, the fact that F2 doesn't end until the same time as F1 really limits some drivers because you don't know who's going to win the championship. And obviously the F1 seats are getting filled up way before Abu Dhabi, and for F2 now we're starting to get a lot of announcements, and like some of these drivers who like don't know what they're doing because it depends on where they're in the championship, they could end up missing out on a potential like another year in F2 because the other teams are just like, well, if you don't know what you're doing, we're just going to sign someone else. So it does make it difficult that it runs so far into the year, essentially.
I agree. It does make it so hard, now that you mentioned, to end at the same time as F1,
Yeah,
because F1, their stuff is set usually before then, and the
exactly.
championship, as you mentioned, is not decided. So I
No.
wish we could have the same amount of races that we still do, but they
Mm.
do like Brazil, and
That could be
Mexico
so
or
cool.
something. They do
Yeah.
like 2 other races earlier in the year so that they can finish their season and have like a month before. I do love like that it finishes at the same time as F1 for like a viewer
Yeah.
experience, and then it like the
Agreed.
season is drawn out. But I think for the driver market, it is so difficult, and it is like you kind of with this before this long break, you want to be ending on a high to be like, look, I can win it, sign me
Exactly.
or whatever. But if you haven't, like Alex done, maybe people will have lost a little bit of confidence in you, and he could still go and win
Yeah.
it. But because of this big break and he's sitting 5th in the championship,
Yeah.
he's not in the conversation anymore.
Exactly. And like obviously not every driver is gonna make it into F1, but like driving in F2, you can kind of be led on by like a potential seat somewhere that then you don't end up getting, because obviously also everyone is not gonna go to F1. So then we have FE, we have WEC, and like series like that, like obviously Formula E, like that market is closed now, like way
Yeah.
before F2 is done. And like also with any other opportunities they could get, they could miss out on if they just continue to be like, oh, well, I don't know what is going to happen because I don't know where I'm going to finish and like what opportunities I could get. So like it's definitely a difficult one.
Absolutely.
Yes, but talking about Rodin, then if we say Alex Dunn would stay, then we would have the Martino Stenshorn and Alex Dunn lineup. That also makes me really sad inside because I still had a small hope we could get Christian Mansell back into F2, or not back into F2 because he doesn't have like a full season, but like he was supposed to drive this year. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes on why he didn't do it this year, if that is the same reason why he can't do it next year. But I was really hoping to see him get a seat next year somewhere, but I just don't see where it should be now.
You know what? He has
Yeah.
been doing a couple of tests, which we've seen
Yeah.
a little bit. So he's definitely trying to aim towards F2.
Yeah.
I just don't know if next year is too soon for him. But if not, I'm worried. 2 seasons
Yeah.
out is not great. And there will
Exactly.
be people
No.
coming up from F3 next year, like Ugo and Freddie perhaps, and like all of those people. And the drive market is going to get so full. So I'm really, really hoping that he does get a seat for next year. I have seen him. He has been, well, I haven't seen him physically with my own eyes. I've seen on social media, he has been training and that kind of stuff. So I would love for him to perhaps go back to ART. Because he was with them in
Yes.
F3, and I would love to see him back there. The team were great for him, a French team. I just want him back on the grid next year. Like, honestly, if that gets announced, I will be screaming. But I'm really worried. Because nothing looks simple. There is no easy place for him to go, and nothing is set. But yeah, I would say my wild prediction is he goes back to ART.
That is a wild prediction, for sure. Definitely. I don't know if I see it. Like, I want to see it. Like, I want it to happen because I want him to have a seat. Any other predictions I would have for Christian, if it's like, if he actually get a seat, which I'm still like kind of leaning towards he doesn't get a seat, even though I don't want that to be true. I could also, like, at a last resort, see him joining Triton, which would be bad because Triton is so bad in F2. But then he could at least have his foot in the door again, which is something I might be able to see too.
Yeah. You know what would be the best thing to happen? Like, even though they are low-key shit,
Yeah,
if he could go to Prema, that would be incredible.
true.
I would
That
love
would be
him at
incredible.
Prema because we love Prema, we love Christian. They are not on top of their game, and I'd prefer him to be in a seat that is on top of his like that is competitive. But especially taking
Yeah.
a year out, I could see him going, as you mentioned, like to Trident, to a team that is not right at the top, just to get in. If there's an offer, he has to take it. I mean, we don't, as you mentioned, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I want him back on the grid.
Exactly. Anywhere, put him somewhere. But
Yeah,
you're mentioning Prema. Like, we have too many drivers we need to have in Prema. Like, can we have more than 2 seats? Can we, like, add a
please,
third car? Like, can we please do that? F2?
please.
But we actually need that. But talking about Trident, that is like the team that's like the most blank in my mind. Like I don't really have any feelings on who is going to go there. Also because it's seen like as the worst team at the moment. So it's like not an attractive seat anyway for any of the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, we had Lawrence, who is doing the last couple races for them, and we know Martinez has now moved, well, only for next year, but he's with Rodin. It would
Mm.
be interesting to see where Lawrence goes on the grid, because usually those drivers who move up with Trident get a seat for the next year.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see if maybe Lawrence stays at Trident if he doesn't get another seat somewhere else, or if he also goes to ART, because he also was with ART. He was Christian Mansell's teammate while they were there, so he was also being
Yeah.
connected with them before. But I don't really see, like in my mind, I don't see anywhere where he fits on the grid.
The only prediction I have about Lawrence Van Hooven, because he was also one of the drivers I wrote down to like make the step up to F2, obviously also doing these final rounds, it's very likely that he will. My prediction for him is that he will be joining ART, because that is obviously the team he was racing for in F3. So like he has that connection. So that is probably what I would see happening else, because I do think he's too good a driver to be at Trident, which is just like we are insulting any driver who's gonna ever drive for Trident. But like I see Lawrence going back to ART just in like F2. So that's my prediction for him.
Yes, and I feel like now is a very good time to mention that rumors have been swirling about the teammate for Dino Beganovic at Dams. There has been
Yes.
mostly one person mentioned. So in my mind, I'm like quite sure that this person will join, and would be very, very exciting if so. And I really hope it's true, but the rumor mill is saying that Roman Polinsky could make the move up and join Dams with Dino, which would be wild.
Yes, that's also like the rumor I have seen, like almost, obviously nothing is for certain, but like close to being certain that he will be driving Temps next year, which I also find like really interesting, because in the beginning I was thinking maybe more he would stay with Rodin, also because they are such a good team in F2. But obviously now with Alex probably having to stay, I don't think that will be an option for him. So I could definitely see the rumor being true that he will be going to Dams, which like will be a golden lineup. The Dino Roman lineup would be so good.
Yeah, if that is true, it's so exciting, so exciting.
Yes. First, when I saw the rumors, I kept being so confused, because every time I see the first name Roman, I think about Stanek. But obviously it's Roman Belinsky. Important
Yeah.
to like note it is that Roman, not the other one. Also, like talking about Roman Stanek, I fully believe he's one of the drivers that will be leaving the series. Now he has done, what, 3 seasons already. I don't see him coming back for a 4th season, but obviously you can never say never, because talking about going into your 4th season, I have seen the rumor as well that Kushmaini will stay in the series.
No.
So yes, Kushmaini too. And here comes the issue, because the rumor I have seen is that he would go to ART.
No.
So like that, yeah, in his 4th season as well. Can we just? I like you, Kush, but can we maybe just move on?
I love you, Kush, but I so see you being a reserve at Formula E full time. Like I so see you, and then give you a
Exactly.
year,
And he
then
is
you'll
a
be
Formula E reserve, so why not just be full
stick
time
with
then?
it. Just do it fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and then I see him like another year, and then he gets a full-time seat in Formula E, and he's very successful in Formula E. I just don't see him staying in F2. I don't see what it's going to do for him. Like, he's a great driver,
No.
but I just don't see how a 4th season could benefit him. Also, you're taking up
No.
one of my imaginary ART seats for one
Yes.
of my drivers.
Exactly. You're taking up the imaginary seat for Christian Mansell. How dare you?
Leave. No, love you,
Yes.
Kush, but
Yeah. I do really like Kush. I believe he has shown a lot of like potential as well. But like staying in his 4th season, like it begins to be kind of like the driver that is the joke of the grid, because you always see like, oh, Richard Fisher has been there so long, and before that it was Roy Nissany, and like drivers who just continue to be in F2. Also Ralph Boschung. Like there are those drivers that stay in this series for so long that they just become a joke, and like I don't think it's fair on Kush because he's more talented than just being a joke on the grid. But like I don't know if it's like his sponsors. Obviously he's from India, there's a lot of like push towards getting an Indian driver in F1 again, but like if that were to happen, I feel like it would have happened already.
Agreed. In my mind, he's not staying, but perhaps the rumors are correct, and he will. As you mentioned, Richard, there's absolutely no way he stays.
No,
I will
there's no
like
way he's staying for a sixth season. Like there's no way.
I don't know where he's going, but there's no way he's on the grid next year. Like I
No.
won't take it if he is. I will stop watching. I won't, but I will stop watching.
No.
No.
Yes, we are not seeing Richard on the grid. We're sorry, Richard, but it's time to move on. And also, Richard is potentially still in with a shot of winning the championship this year. However crazy that is, like he's literally ahead of Dunn in the championship still at this point. So who knows what will happen with that? But I feel like that is like the 100% certain prediction is that Richard for sure won't be there. Like the only scenario where I see him being on the grid is if we like have a moment like we had this year where a driver has to like drop out really suddenly right before the season starts. Then he could be a driver with that amount of experience and funding as well you could put in. But if that doesn't happen, like I don't see him there.
Yeah, I could see him going to ELMS and maybe doing something
Yeah.
because he has been a little bit rumored to be connected to somewhere there, and I actually did meet him when I was at ELMS at Silverstone. So there's definitely conversations there. But that's the only way I could see him staying in F2 as well, is if they needed him really last minute and he hadn't signed anything
Exactly.
else.
But you never know what can happen there. Obviously, he is a good driver, so I'm sure he won't be like seatless next year. Like he will be driving somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to who will be driving in F2. I'm actually surprised we haven't mentioned this driver yet because we already kind of mentioned him in the beginning of the episode, but we were like, oh, we'll wait. Obviously, the most obvious prediction, which will 100% be true, is that Rafa Câmara, F3 champion, would obviously be joining the F2 grid, and most definitely for Invicta Racing.
Yeah. I was also just thinking like, whoa, we haven't even mentioned Rafa, but like I guess
No.
it's like the most like correct prediction that could be happening. Like it definitely could be like it's he'll definitely be an F2. Like in my mind it's set that he'll be an Invicta. So maybe that's why we didn't mention it. But yes, it'll be interesting to see Rafa and Joshua as teammates. We've got a little bit of a South American team vibe going on over here. Because obviously Invicta teased and they were saying like, oh, it's like someone has flown this far to get here. And people are like, oh,
yeah, it was like 16 hours or something. Yeah.
Because obviously they're like neighboring countries. So like the flight is kind of similar. But it was Joshua.
Yeah.
I think they will wait to announce Rafa for a little bit because there's no pressure to announce him. But he will be there.
I'm kind of interested in why they haven't announced him yet. Obviously, I agree there's no pressure to do it right now. To see Joshua being announced as well, but I'm just surprised why we like just haven't done the deal because it seems like the most obvious one.
Yeah, maybe they're just waiting to announce it like at some point. Maybe Rafa's team wanted to be on some date. I don't know. I don't know why.
No, honestly, we don't know, and that is fine. But we are waiting impatiently for that announcement. Hopefully, it will come soon. Talking about other drivers from F3 moving up, I feel like I do have to mention, because we talked about Triton, no one really wants to drive for them. I have seen a rumor that we could get Tasnapol Intrapruasak driving for Triton next year.
I have not seen that. That's rogue.
No? I feel so too, but like he's a driver that has done really well in F3 this year, and I would love to see him move up to F2, and obviously he's not staying in F3 because that is pretty much confirmed with the seats that are left. And like I don't see where he would go unless it would be like a Trident that where it's like it's kind of a desperate move.
I don't see like a set place for him. I don't see somewhere that makes like complete sense for him to settle. But he has done so well in F3 that he
Yes.
surely has to move up. So yeah, honestly, that it could be true that he goes to Trident for 1 year, as some people do, show they have pace, and then can hopefully leave that team. Sorry, Trident.
Yeah. Also, like, who knows? Trident could become a good team next year. Like, you never know. Obviously, now we had Martinez Stenchorn just being dumped into the car and like really performing well. So like, Trident is an odd one, but it's just like a team that usually don't really know what they're doing in F2 for whatever reason, which is like so surprising, especially because they're doing so well in F3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a mystery, honestly. But talking about drivers who deserves to move up to F2, but sadly I don't see moving up, is sadly Santiago Ramos, because he did so well in F3, but then obviously because of lack of funding, he couldn't even do the final round in F3. So like it will be a stretch for him to have the funding to F2, which is like
Yeah.
so sad to see because he deserves to be there.
Agreed. I mean, like with the podium in F3, he's really shown he has pace, and
Actually,
it's so sad.
yeah, didn't he even like win in F3 as well this season? Like I
Was
believe he
it
did.
Melbourne? Because he did something in Melbourne.
Oh no, now we are back to this driver did
No,
something and
he
then
said
we're
he
like
won.
don't know. Like, I can't do this. Oh, hold on. He did win the sprint in Melbourne. I don't know if he won, and he also won the feature race in Imola. So like he did really well this season, and then he wasn't even able to finish F3, sadly. So
Yeah. Again, for some reason, him and Ivan Dominguez are the same person in my mind. Don't ask me why. I really
but that is
struggle.
okay. But yeah, there's always like some drivers who mix up. I also feel like last episode where we talked about, I don't know, was it Christian Ho we were talking about, and then we mixed him up with Inter Prusak. Like, and they don't even like, they're not that similar, but like in our brain, they merge into one. That's too many drivers in F3. I'm so sorry. What other predictions do we have? We haven't even talked about MP at all. Like, they're also
No.
kind of a blank slate. I do see Oliver Goethe staying with the team, obviously. Him having his first season this year and progressively getting better with every race, I feel like. So I could definitely see him staying.
I definitely agree with you. Ollie is the only person I could see staying at MP, obviously, because as we mentioned with Richard, I don't know who would be his teammate at all. That's another seat. But 100%, I don't see Ollie moving anywhere else. I think MP have confidence in him, as you can say with his progression that he's had. So yeah, I definitely see him sticking with MP for next year.
The only other obvious prediction I would have for MP would definitely be Tim Tramnitz, obviously as an F3 MP driver, battling for the title in F3. I would be surprised if he didn't get a seat in F2 next year. We also, like, I don't know what's going on with the F2 teams this year, but I feel like they are going towards having like a similar lineup in nationality, because then it will be like a full German lineup as well, but if it was Oliver and obviously and Tramnitz, so Tim.
And maybe both Red Bull Juniors if they stay being
Yeah,
Red Bull
true.
Juniors.
Yeah, that will make sense, definitely. So that is something I could definitely see happening. The only other prediction I will say, obviously we haven't talked about every single team or seed, because like that is just impossible to predict what is going to happen. But the only other thing I feel like we kind of touched upon already is that there are a lot of rumors that Miata will stay for his third season in F2, and that could potentially be with high tech. But then that's an issue again with where we like have too many teams we want to put into the team, but like not enough seats. So like I don't know which of our prediction is wrong. I just know that Miata could be going to high tech.
Yeah, I definitely have seen that as well.
I don't know if you have any other predictions you want to like
I
finish
have
off
one
the
more.
episode with.
I have a final one,
Yes.
which is I mean, VAR's recent signing was quite out of the blue,
Mm.
with Nicholas, or Nico as
Yes.
people say. But I could see John Bennett staying. I feel like he has shown pace, and I hope he stays for another season, and I hope that VAR are a little bit better and then he can continue. But I hope he gets a seat on the grid so I could see him at VAR next year.
Yeah, I definitely could see him continuing there as well. So fingers crossed for that. Obviously, with these predictions, we could be totally wrong with like most of them. We probably are, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, like part of it is based on rumors. The other part is based on just feelings and what we want to see
Vibes.
happening. Exactly. So like we can't know, and the the most essential thing is just like there are not enough seats for all the drivers that deserve to be there. So obviously, no matter who are gonna be announced, it's gonna be a sad day because there will be some drivers that we are hoping to see that just won't get a seat next year, probably.
Yeah, and it will be disappointing, especially if some of them are our favorites. But it is very interesting to keep an eye out because honestly, even before this is out, we could get more announcements. We do not
Yeah.
know. But if you have any predictions, do you have any wild predictions? Just leave them down below. Maybe we can have like a little bit of a discussion about them another time. Like who you guys think will make up the grid next year. So leave your suggestions. Also, if we have had some takes here that you think are wildly not gonna happen, you can call us out if you want.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah,
Yes.
follow us on all of our other socials. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Instagram's a great place to keep up to date with who gets signed because we post a lot there in like real time because there's a little bit of delay with our episodes. Obviously, we film, edit, and then post. So yeah, just keep up with us on our socials. We should have more content coming out on TikTok. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.